when I was going to, I was in junior high school and just doing okay in the junior high school, and my parents introduced me to the idea of going to a trade school. So I went to Southeast Regional Vocational Technical High School. So it's a high school and trade school. So when I went there, it was pretty much 2 weeks on academics, math, English, and that type of thing, and then 2 weeks in shop. And at first year was kind of introduction to different trades, and then we would pick a trade. So my interest was either electrical or plumbing. And back then, plumbing was a little bit. I was cutting thread and pipe and cast iron drain pipe, with using oakum and lead seals and stuff. It was like heavy, dirty work. And then when I went into the electric shop, it was pulling wires, making up stuff, circuits, theory. I found it a lot more interesting. But now you find out, plumbers, they pull all plastic now, anyways. So it's almost the same thing as electrical. So it's kind of funny. But so I got started doing into trade school. So the trade school was great. So in our sophomore year, in shop, we actually worked in the school doing projects in the school, changing ballasts out, installing electrical lines in different shops for different equipment. And we had passes, so we had the run of the school. So we'd walk around the school, and my buddy and I, we would always find, we'd always get up into the ceiling, and we'd hang out up there for a while and fuck off. And so we had Landeville was the shop teacher, Mr. Reed was our theories teacher, and Quigley was our shop teacher that kind of had a trail. We had a trailer outside. We'd report at the trailer, and we would work from the trailer. We'd have job assignments, so it was kind of cool. So we'd have job assignments, and we'd work throughout the school. And he was big into code, so we'd have to give him. We'd go and do an installation, and then he'd have us do a report on all the different code that applied to the install we did. It was great. It was great. Hated it at the time, but you look back and it was oh, that was great, because you did the installation, and you had to find out about he usually would guide you in the installation, but then he'd have you do a report, and the report was on the job and the codes and everything that you applied to the install. So it was excellent. It was good. I think that school put out some great trades guys, because the way they applied it, it was really good. And then Reed was theory, so it was Ohm's law, three-phase, how different three-phase systems, delta, Y, capacitors, motors. It was great. It was great. A lot of that stuff sort of comes back when you need it, but then you have to look it up to really get a refresher on it. But excellent. So if you're getting started and you're a kid and you're looking at doing something, or you're a parent with a young child, and you want to get them on a path. I mean, if they go into a high school trade school, that's great, because they get a very quick start in the business, because as an electrician, and I'm not sure of all the requirements at this point, but you need a certain amount of classroom hours. Then you need to be an apprentice for a certain amount of time. And I think it's close to 4 years. And then you can take your test. And then in Massachusetts, you have a journeyman's test. You take a journeyman's test and you get your journeyman's license. And now you have to work in the field for another year before you can take your master's license. So in Massachusetts, as a journeyman, you can pull permits, you can be your own boss, you can have a helper, but you can't have any other electricians working for you. You get your master's license, that's when you become a business owner. So you can actually have other electricians that actually work for you. So master's is what you want to shoot for. And if you get out, if you graduate high school and then you decide to get into it, your practical knowledge behind and getting started, you got to get 2,000 hours of classroom time. And moving forward, it's just more of a challenge. And then if you're even in your mid-20s, now it gets even more, it becomes more challenging to do, because like, you know, more, you get more responsibilities as you get older, your bills, you get more bills, you know, like, it's hard to like to be a helper for 4 years and then get your license. And then if you're in your 30s, then it gets even like more difficult. So the sooner that you get at it, whether it be the mechanical trades, electrical and plumbing, at least in Massachusetts, are like probably the largest commitment you got to make to get in that field. You know, you got the classroom, apprenticeship time, and then you got to take the test, and you want to get at it right away. So that's how I got started. Right at, you know, junior high, right into a high school trade school, and it worked out great. You know, and then you learn your trade, and you get that, you get your license to perform. You get that for life. Keep it up. You get it for life. That doesn't stop you from doing other things, but you get something to fall back on. That's a skilled trade, and I can tell you, like, in today's world, it's in more demand than ever. It's hard to find, you know, committed younger guys that want to actually be in the trade. So it's like, you know, you can write your own ticket pretty much. You get once you get the experience behind you, and you become valuable, you can become real valuable, because there's not a lot of people getting into it. So if you can get into if you're starting out, get into a high school trade school, get ahead of the game. Plus, it's public. If you get into a public one, it doesn't cost you anything, so it's even better. So that's my advice. If you're a young kid and you're thinking of getting into a trade, find a high school trade school so you can do that. And then if you're a parent and you think your son or daughter would benefit from a trade school, that'd be a good way to go too. Into a trade school, start out fresh there, get out, jobs are pretty much available, and there's a lot of different avenues they can go into down the road. I got buddies of mine who did the high school trade school route, who became electricians. They all have their own businesses now. And I got a few buddies that are in like the solar business, general contracting, electrical contracting, mechanical contracting, plumbing contracting, or they've gone to like the utilities. They work in the, you know, for utilities, large utilities like Unitil, and then you know, a lot of options. There's nothing stopping you from going further with your careers. So like, but you got that to fall back on, you know. So my recommendation, if you're young enough and you can think about getting into a high school trade school and it's available to you, that's a good direction. You got a kid, that's a good direction for your kid. You know, introduce it to them. If they're not interested, well, they're not interested. But like, it's a good place to go. And that's my thoughts for the day.